minute. Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. In this workshop, we are going to cover our new upcoming feature, AI-powered Autofix, which is able to review errors in your code and generate a fix and actually open the PR for you. So we are going to demo that today and also go over some other features as well related to helping you prioritize alerts. So before we get started, as I said a few minutes ago, please, we want to keep this a discussion, not us just talking at you the entire time. So please feel free to engage with us in the chat, ask questions. And if you do have a question that you'd like us to answer at the end of the call, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A widget within Zoom. So be sure to click on that, and that's going to help us prioritize some of the questions that are coming in at the end that we'll get to at the after the speakers have presented. And we're going to send you a recording afterwards if you're not able to join for the entire duration of the workshop. And then at the end, you will receive an email follow-up, and there's going to be a quick survey, and we would love your feedback. All right, so for today, I am going to give, and first I'll start with, my name is Ben. I'm the product marketing team here at Sentry. And I'm going to give a quick overview of Sentry for those that are new. And then our speakers are going to go into the AI-powered Autofix feature and also some of the other AI/ML-related features that we are incorporating into the product, which are ultimately meant to help you prioritize issues faster. And then we're going to go into how we are approaching privacy at Sentry with AI/ML. And then at the end of everything, we have a few questions that we're going to address that were submitted beforehand. And then we're going to open up for Q&A at the end. So again, if you have questions throughout the presentation, be sure to click on that Q&A widget at the bottom of your Zoom screen and ask a question there, and then we can flag it to answer it at the end of the presentation. So first, we're going to start with a quick poll. So how often today are you using AI at work? So for me, the answer is almost every day, but curious to see what you guys say. And we'll just we'll give each poll about 20 to 30 seconds, and we'll be sure to share the results with you all after. We have folks joining from all over the world. Very cool to see. Yeah, looks like a lot of people are in the same boat as me. More than 50% saying almost every day. So like a lot of companies, we've been looking for ways to incorporate AI into Sentry, and we're really excited to demo some of the use cases that we found. So first, let's start with an overview of what Sentry is for those that are new to Sentry. So Sentry, or I guess a way to kind of think about it is that within your tech stack today, you have your code, and that's going to power a lot of underlying pillars of your tech stack, such as security, data, and infrastructure. But a lot of the times, those other parts of your tech stack are going to be, when a problem does happen, a lot of the times the root cause of that problem is related to your code, or can at least be fixed with your code. And that's what Sentry focuses on. Sentry focuses on code level insights. And so that means if you are whether you're a front end, back end, or mobile developer, no matter what framework you're using, Sentry is able to give you the code level insights to identify the root cause of a problem. And that makes us different than a lot of other observability platforms, which tend to be more focused on infrastructure. Sentry is focused on providing code level insights geared towards empowering the developer to solve issues within their code base faster. And what this means is that Sentry is integrated into almost every part of the developer workflow. So going from the pre-release portion where we have test coverage for your code through CodeCov, and then we have, no matter if it's in staging, dev, production, Sentry is able to monitor your code in real time and provide those code level insights down to the exact line of code that is most likely behind the problem. And we do this through providing opinionated insights. We're not trying to make you search for a needle in a haystack. We're trying to make it as easy as possible to identify the root cause behind an issue. And we do more than just error monitoring. A lot of the times, like a code-related problem could be causing performance issues as well. And for front-end frameworks or front-end parts of your application, we also have session replay, which is going to play back a video-like reproduction of the error itself so that you can not just rely on those customer service calls that are coming in, explaining an issue, but you can actually see what the user experienced. And again, we support over 100 different frameworks and SDKs. And so what this means is that you can get started as soon as possible with a lot of the SDKs that we have. And also you're able to trace issues across your stack and understand how an issue in one part of your stack could be the root cause of an issue in another part of your stack. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to our speakers today. So we have Jen Mung, who's our ML engineer, who's building the Autofix and some of the other ML and AI related features, and Rachel, who is the product manager for those features. And so now I'm going to hand it off to Rachel, and she is going to go into some of the new features that are coming out that are going to that are incorporating ML and AI to ultimately help you prioritize issues that matter most faster.
Thank you, Ben, and hello, everybody. It's so great to see you all today. So to kick things off, I wanted to talk a bit about our core errors product. So for those who may not be familiar with Sentry, we start with event ingestion. So as your error events are coming in, we try to make sense of that and actually present actionable problems for developers to fix. So the first step of the workflow is Sentry identifying a new issue. So we take those events in, we use what we call grouping to take those events and put them into meaningful distinct groups that then a developer can go and fix. And so once we've identified those groups, the developer actually receives a Sentry alert, and then they go into the product where they see the context, right? So the stack trace, tags, other event metadata to have the sufficient context that they need to then triage and ultimately fix the problem. And so when we think about the errors, product and how we've been investing on it over time, we're really thinking about this core workflow, and this core workflow really powers everything. And while it may look simple here, there's so much data that's constantly flowing, and there's a lot of various interactions that are at play. And so this takes me actually to our second poll and a question that I want to ask for folks who are using Sentry. Are noisy alerts and duplicative issues a problem for you? And I'll give folks a few seconds to answer this question. Okay, so it looks like over 60% of you answered somewhat problematic to a huge problem. So thank you for answering that. And yeah, that definitely is an area that I think, as we've grown in time, as we've matured, as our customers have grown with us, we realize that every part of the workflow actually has opportunities for us to leverage ML and AI to improve the experience. So for example, when we detect and identify a new issue, what we're seeing over time is that our grouping heuristics can actually create too many issues. So in the interest of trying to be very precise, right, wanting to create meaningful groups, we actually might, over-index on things like, oh, well, a Python version changed. Actually, didn't change the root of the problem, but because we detect a different Python version, we actually might create a new issue. And so there are problems like this where while our grouping heuristics have served us really well, there are edge cases where actually we're creating too many issues. Similarly, for alerts and, aligned with what everyone just answered, it's great when you have an alert that about an issue that's really important and you need to go and fix. But oftentimes we send too many alerts. And in fact, in many cases, we're detecting issues and we're sending an alert on every new issue created. And in those cases, not every alert is actually meaningful or critical or important for a developer to respond to. And so that can lead to alert fatigue and challenges in figuring out like what actually to respond to. And finally, as we're triaging, as a developer is triaging and fixing a problem, like sometimes getting the right context can be time consuming, right? So, there's a stack trace, there might be breadcrumbs, and while all of that is extremely powerful, and we think again that like that context is really important to debug and to get to the root cause, it can be difficult to figure out like what should I look at first? And if I'm short on time, how do I make sure I'm looking at the right thing? And so when we look at this category of problems across the workflow, what we see a lot of this, and actually all of these are big data problems that can be solved really well with ML and AI. And so over the last few months, we've been exploring how to use these new techniques to really improve the core workflow. And so for issue grouping, we are actually leveraging ML to do ML-based grouping. And there's more that actually we can cover in separate sessions, but really at a high level, what we're doing is detecting similar issues that may have actually been grouped into different issues and using ML to actually identify when they're really related and actually are the same issue so that we can remove duplicative issues. And with alerts, we're investing in priority alerts. So essentially, at the time of a new event being created, we actually determine, is this actually an issue that you are likely to respond to or likely to want to triage and fix? And if the answer is yes, we'll send an alert. And if the answer is no, we won't send it or we'll digest it to send later. And then finally, we're investing in Autofix. So rather than asking our users to, go through every single event information and really like having to triage it themselves, we're actually going to take a first pass for you, and we'll cover that more today. So the focus of today is really diving deep into Autofix, sharing a bit more of the why of why we're building this, the behind the scenes of how it works, the technology underlying all of it, and then also showing you all a live demo. So with that, I'm going to give a quick overview of Autofix, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jen to walk us through the technical sort of architecture behind Autofix, as well as a live demo. So, when thinking about why we're investing in Autofix, historically, again, like I mentioned, when a developer receives an alert, they go into the issue and, we provide context. And for a long time, we said, hey, we're going to provide the best context, the best stack trace, the best tags, the best breadcrumbs, replays, all of that is just really critical. But at the end of the day, like we didn't actually believe that we could give a fix to a developer, right? We said, well, that seems too far out. And in fact, what we didn't want was to give you something that was imprecise or not helpful. But what we're seeing with the advancement of LLMs is that those advancements actually have opened up new opportunities for what we can provide. And really, for the first time, the technology has evolved to a point where we actually can make really, really great recommendations on root causes as well as fixes. And that's what led us to invest in Autofix. So at a high level, what do? We take all the information about the event, the issue itself, right? So we're looking at event tags, context, the stack trace. We're bridging that with the information that we have about your code base through our GitHub integration. And with that, we can really deeply understand what the potential root causes are. And then from those root causes, suggest a potential fix. And so the benefit here is we think about Autofix like a junior developer on the team. We can give Autofix a lot of information and questions to parse through. And then Autofix will return some really helpful insights. But again, it's really important for the developer to be involved, right? For you to be involved in partnering with Autofix to make sure that the recommendations look right and also to help inform, what the eventual fix will be. And again, I think that one of the things we're most excited about is with our internal testing and just with everything that we're building right now, what we're seeing is that by pairing again that really rich issues context with our code base indexing and with our just understanding of the space, we're really able to increase the actionability of our recommendations. And internally, we've definitely had cases where a developer finds a Sentry issue, they fix the problem with Autofix, and then we actually just merge the PR, oftentimes with no changes. And so this is, again, hot off the press, really exciting. And we're really excited for you all to be here today for us to show you. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jen, who will talk more about Autofix under the hood, and then we'll go into a live demo.
Hey everyone, great to see you. I'm Jen. So I will start off going over how Autofix works on a high level. So as you can see here in this diagram, Autofix revolves around a human in the loop architecture, where first you would trigger Autofix to find the root cause of an issue. We would run something we call root cause analysis, which will give you a list of potential root causes for the bug. And if there is a potential root cause and a fix that looks good to you, you can then trigger the planning agent to perform a fix, which will then make a series of code changes that can make a pull request to GitHub. All of this is informed by embeddings of your code base. So Sentry had Autofix and Sentry has context to your code base, but we do not store your file contents. We only store the embeddings and a hash of that. So now with this overview, I will show you guys a live demo. So here we have this real issue that occurred in production for us a couple of days ago. So imagine you as a developer got an alert from Sentry, you click through to this issue, you try to debug it by looking at the stack trace, maybe you even look at the breadcrumbs. But now with Autofix, you can just press this button and it will start using the data we have on the issue and start analyzing it. This analysis step may take around a minute or so. So as you've seen earlier in the diagram, we use the full context of your code base to inform this analysis. And I'm sure you have this question. And no, we do not store your source code for Autofix. We only store the embeddings and a hash of your code. Every time that any agent, such as this analysis issue here, needs to see your code, we pull it straight from your source provider, which in this case, we're using GitHub. This root cause agent then maps all this data we have about your issue to the context that we get from your code base. So it usually looks at the original source code of the file and makes an educated guess at what the problem could be. This is also augmented not just by the error message and the stack trace, but all the relevant information, like what device it's running on, all the tags, all the context that you would see here as a human. So now we see that it shows us the root cause analysis. So you're presented with multiple potential root causes and actionable suggested fixes for them, such as this one with a pretty clear fix, I see. There are other root causes too, such as this one. So the root cause analysis should make it much easier to debug issues by giving you potential ideas of what could be causing a bug. If our proposed root cause and fix looks right, you can just trigger Autofix by clicking a button here to make the change. Otherwise, you can come down here and provide your own explanation of what you think the root cause is and suggest a fix for Autofix to go apply it for you. Think of it like Rachel said, a junior dev that's taking a good shot at fixing the issue. So we'll be going with this one. So creating a fix can take anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes as well. And you'll be able to see here on my screen logs as it goes about creating a fix. In the meantime, Ben, do you want to go over a Q&A question that was submitted during registration?
Yeah. So one question that I saw submitted a few times was around if Autofix integrates with other code repos other than GitHub.
I can take that one. So right now we integrate with GitHub as it's the most applicable largest source provider, but we definitely already have Sentry integrations for other source providers, and we will be looking to expand support in the very near future.
And I'll also add to that, like we really truly do review almost probably every issue that comes in through GitHub when we do have a GitHub issue that comes in. So if you do want to see integrations with other code management platforms, GitLab, et cetera, please open a GitHub issue for us. Looks like you all are seeing, the things happening in real time here. This is, in case you're wondering, this isn't actually a live demo.
Yep. Yep. As you can see in the logs here, as it's going, it's looking at various documents and also searching for this crash detector file. So the idea behind these logs is we want to provide everyone with a look into what this agent is doing and provide more trust in the process of fixing this bug, because we understand that like if there's an AI that goes through your code and does things, you probably want to be able to see behind the curtain, right? What it's doing. Looks like this search is taking a while. Ben, do you have another question?
Yeah, we have another
Yeah.
question. Can you configure it to update the version of the repo as well as in the PR that it opens?
By update version in the repo, I would assume we mean a like a Semver version tag in the repo in code, right? Right now, no, but it would be a pretty easy like new feature we can add, because this create fix execution agent we have basically takes a task and performs it. It would be not too difficult a feature to implement, asking it to do like extra tasks you want it to do, and that's actually a pretty good idea. So it's done. So here you can see it shows a preview of the change it made, and it edit these two lines. And if this looks good to you, right, what you can do is you can just go ahead and tell it to create a pull request, and this will create a draft pull request on your linked GitHub repository. Let me click through it right here. You see, create this pull request on the Sentry repository, and like I said, this is a actual error we have, and the files changed. Looks, yep, correct. And because this fix actually looks really good to me, I'm gonna actually label it with these tests. This is a tag we need to run our internal tests on our public repo, and I will go ahead later on to forward this to be reviewed. So now that we have seen how Autofix works live, I will hand it back to Rachel with another poll about what features you would like to see most from Autofix.
Thank you, Jen. And yeah, thanks all for the comments around live demos being always a very exciting part of these workshops. I think for our audience, it's really critical to actually see it working. We didn't want to hide anything, including, just the fact that these things are happening. We're logging all the changes in Autofix, and so wanted to show that with all of you. So as you saw, at the core, Autofix today will give you root causes, and it will also suggest potential fixes. And as we're developing, we're very active in development right now, we're thinking about what's next, and we really want that to be customer informed. So the question that we have for you all is, what do you want to see next? What do you want to see most? And so just sharing a little bit about these options. The first option is about unit test generation. So not just submitting a PR with a fix, but actually giving you unit tests so you can prevent these problems from happening again. The second one is, responding to feedback. So on the fix itself, being able to communicate with Autofix, whether in product or in GitHub, so that you can actually, potentially alter the fix in partnership with Autofix. This last one is automatic Autofix trigger. So maybe connecting Autofix to our alert rules or integrations so that you can actually automatically have that happen. So I think our answers are coming up right now. Okay, great. So looks like the unit test generation and being able to respond to feedback are your top most excited features. And so that's great. Thank you for sharing that. We'll definitely use that to inform our next steps. And I will also say that we are always available on our Discord channel. You can find us on GitHub, but if you have other ideas or if you're really excited about what you're seeing, please let us know, because again, we really love building out in the open and, informed by our customers. So with that, I wanted to touch upon privacy, because I know that that's a really big question and something that a lot of folks are thinking about all the time. For those who may not be familiar with Sentry, throughout our history, we've operated under privacy by default. And so for us, it's really critical when we are bringing these new AI and ML-enabled features to the market that we are really thinking about transparency and choice, and that we're applying that philosophy on privacy to everything that we do. And so it's actually pretty simple. All of our upcoming functionality will require opt-in for us to access your data. So what this means is, if we're training our models to improve priority alerts on your data, we'll ask you for permission before we do so. If you're using generative AI to create an autofix, you'll have to consent to actually get access to the feature. We will, be extremely transparent about how we're using your information and why. And as Jen mentioned, we're not in the business of trying to, take your information, or we're not, redistributing it. We're doing nothing but delivering value to you. And so we are doing our utmost, on our end to be as protective of the data that we do get access to. And then we're also, adding the additional layer of actually asking for access, because again, we know that, some of this data can be sensitive. And so we want to give you all of the transparency and choice to make the best decision, and trust us to also make really good decisions on the technical side of implementing this. One more thing I'll mention is that we have, our repos are available under the functional source license. And so today, you'll see here that our repo for all of the Autofix work is called Seer. And so if you wanted to go in and just look at what we're doing, you can. And then if you wanted to contribute or, talk to us via GitHub or Discord, again, all of that is publicly available. And for us, it's really important to continue sharing behind the scenes of what we're doing. So for example, questions like, what LLM are you using, or how are you doing this, or is this an agent model? We're more than happy to share, all of our processes and really show just what we're doing, because again, we really want to make sure that people feel comfortable with what we're doing. And also, again, I think with AI and ML, it's such a fast evolving space that the more we can learn from each other, the better everyone will be. And so with that, I will turn it over back to Ben to help wrap up today's session. And then again, we'll have lots of time for a Q&A. So we'll make sure to address your questions.
Great. All right, so first we're going to go over, I guess we should also mention that, if you do want access to some of these features that we highlighted today, be sure to scan the QR code. I think under resources, you may have just seen something pop up that says join the beta. So there on that page, you're going to be able to join the wait list to get access to some of these features when we do open them up to beta. So next, we're going to go over a few questions that were submitted in prior to the webinar. And then we're going to start going through some Q&A live as well. So Rachel, go to the next slide. Here we go. So we have 5 questions that we'll briefly go over. Is this for the production environment and only for, Or can it be deployed in additional environments like dev, QA, sales, etc.?
Thanks for the question. So essentially how Autofix works is, you have a Sentry issue, and then we will recommend a fix on top of that. And so essentially wherever you have configured Sentry, right, our SDKs, if you've done that on production, if you've done that in staging or Canary or really anywhere, as long as we are receiving those error exceptions and that error data, we'll be able to run Autofix. So in this case, the answer is yes, it can be deployed wherever Sentry is deployed.
I define actions at pipeline runtime to give me insights about potential bugs missed by developers.
I can take this one as well. So in this case, the way that Autofix works today is we are working on, fixing issues that are already present, so that have already been captured by Sentry. In this case, at pipeline runtime, I think this is closer to some of the work actually that we're partnering with our sister teams at GitHub on, but basically advising on risk prior to PRs even being built. And so the answer for Autofix is no. However, this is an area with ML and AI that as a whole Sentry is invested in, and again, this will be in partnership with CodeCov.
How does it compare to Codium and GitHub Copilot? I think I've seen this come through in the Q&A a few times now.
Yep. I guess I'll take this one. I also just saw it in QA as well. So Codium, Copilot, and even Devin are more general purpose tools. So Copilot and Codium are general purpose tools aimed at improving developer productivity, IDE productivity. Devin and all those software agents you've been seeing around are essentially trying to be full stack software engineers and more general purpose to solve multiple issues and tasks. Sentry Autofix is purpose-built to specifically address Sentry issues, and much of its value comes from its integration with our data, such as not just the stack trace, but as you've seen on my live demo, right, we have all the variables, the environments at runtime captured in a state. We have all the contexts. We have tracing for cross front-end, back-end microservice. We also have profiling. Basically, all that data helps inform Autofix way more than any of these other general purpose tools can.
What kind of LLM is used to give suggestions / probable answers based on the error that occurred?
Okay, so as you've seen in the architecture diagram, it is a pipeline combined with multiple LLM agents, and specifically what kind of a LLM. Right now, we are using GPT-4 Turbo, and we will be working on fine-tuning our own model with our data very soon.
Great. I think that's we have one more. Will this work for code hosted outside of GitHub?
I think we already answered this one that right now we only support GitHub, but we will be looking to expand to all our other repository integrations soon.
Okay, so now we're going to go over some of the questions that were submitted during the presentation. One question that I saw that received a few likes was around Autofix debugging more complicated issues, such as database deadlocks, race conditions, nonlinear performance degradation due to scaling / load. So the question is really, how can Autofix identify complex concurrency problems that span multiple multi-threaded component interactions?
I saw Tillman answer this one. Do you want to answer this live, Tillman, or do you want me to take it?
Go ahead, Jen. All you.
Okay. So Roughly, if it's an infrastructure problem, that might be more difficult to solve, both for us humans and AI. So that's the simple answer. But also at the same time, we can walk back to what I said earlier with how much data Sentry has around a specific error, right? And I think I would put a call back to how we do tracing across multiple platforms and services. So we would see some orchestration between multiple platforms. And um, although it is a very difficult problem, we do probably have some way to inform Autofix root cause of these concurrency issues, database issues, infrastructure issues, for example. And Autofix might not be able to create a fix for these problems, but the idea behind the root cause analysis that we showed earlier is it should be able to somewhat explain and give you ideas at what's causing it. Because if it's like an infra problem or database deadlock, like I mentioned in the question, there's not really a simple, straightforward single PR they can make.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to like Autofix and Sentry as a whole is meant to solve code level issues that can be addressed through a single PR.
Yeah, and one more
So
thing I'll add, I think just to what Jen said is like, if we're not confident that we have a high quality fix, we actually will just stop at the root cause. So you saw in the demo, the first root cause had a suggested fix, the second root cause did not. And so for us, it's really important that, again, that quality bar is really high and that we're not recommending, or like putting in things into a PR that would not make sense.
Another question that came in, will we be able to enable Autofix to automatically start fixes to speed up wait times?
Ah, yes.
That's a great question. And I think that's something that we're actually really excited to explore. So as you saw, like right now in our initial testing, the end-to-end experience probably takes between 3 to 5 minutes. And so this is a case where like if something happens, like potentially if we can detect, okay, this is the kind of bug that's important for us to have context on immediately, we actually might want to start that root cause detection and potentially even suggest a fix right from the get-go. And so I think that this is an area actually that we're definitely really excited about. And the good thing too is that with all of our integrations, we're already hooked up to our learning system, right? So for example, today, when we detect a new problem, not only can we send you an alert, but we can create a Jira issue or we can create, we can directly link to like PagerDuty or OpsGenie. And so there's no reason why we couldn't go from, detecting a new issue to also automatically starting a fix. I think that that's, first off, we just want to make sure to get this in the hands of customers and confirm that everyone's seeing value and really understanding how it's performing. And then if things are going really well, then I think automation would be the next step.
Another question that came up was around pricing for this feature. I can take this one. So we're not in the business of doing like LLM token arbitrage. We are looking, this will be to some extent a feature that we do charge for. Whether there is a certain amount included in the free tier plan or not, that will just really come down to how much it costs to call the LLM. So we're going to be really transparent as we better understand our COGS behind this and the value that this is providing. We're going to be very transparent and announce pricing as soon as possible.
And I will say too that at least for our initial like testing, for our limited access, where we hope to get really great feedback from the folks who participate, that will be free for now. So that is something where if you're interested in providing feedback and being really great partners with us, would encourage you to sign up for our waitlist.
Jen, here's an interesting question for you that just came in. Have you experimented with running inference on Grok's LPUs yet?
No, actually, and it's something I have been keeping up with, and we are really excited about. If it proves to be viable and and can scale, then it seems like it will completely speed up almost all the spinners you've seen in Autofix.
Well, those are all the questions that I see right now. And it looks like none have been coming through, but thank you all so much for joining today. Great questions. We'll be, keeping an eye on our GitHub issues to see what else, any other questions that you may have, feature requests, etc. We would love your feedback. And please be sure to answer the survey that is going to be sent to you